Welcome to the lesson, Communications. The aircraft communication system consists of VHF radios, HF radios, service interphone, passenger address system, cockpit voice recorder, and the ACAR system. These are the locations of the antennas on the aircraft for the VHF and HF radio systems. The aircraft is fitted with a number of static dischargers to prevent interference during communication. The Central Audio System, CAU, is the interface for the various audio in and outputs. Central to the system is the audio selector panel. 3 identical units are fitted for the captain, the first officer, and the third crew member. The square transmit buttons route voice from the boom microphone or hand microphone associated with the audio selector panel to the indicated radio transmitter, service intercom, or passenger address. Only one transmit button may be selected at any time. Press to transmit switches to enable voice communication via the boom microphones are provided both on the audio selector panel and on the control column. Audio signals from the radios, service intercom, navigational beacons, and intercom may be received by selecting the appropriate receive button, which also incorporates a volume control. Any number of receive buttons may be selected at the same time. It is not necessary to depress a receive button in order to monitor communication on a radio channel if the associated transmit button is depressed. However, the receive button is still used to control volume. The receive buttons associated with the ILS, VOR, and DME channels incorporate a single button to monitor both receivers. A voice button coupled to the VOR and ADF channels filters out the ident signal to leave the voice signal.
Hamburg Airport Information Gulf. Runway in use 23. Service.
The boom mask switch is normally set to boom. When the oxygen mask is in use, the switch must be set to mask to select the mask microphone. This action will also select the associated speaker above the pilot regardless of the speaker switch position.
The AB test switch is used to test the 2 audio channels within the audio integrated system. Whilst listening to a continuous broadcast, there should be no significant drop in audio level whilst selecting Test A and Test B in turn. As this test affects the operation of the overhead speakers, a headset must be worn for the duration of the test.
The intercom allows communication between the pilots, the third crew member, and a ground crew at the AC supply panel. Combined intercom and RT switches are located on each audio selector panel and on both control columns
Each audio selector panel has an intercom receive volume button.
Passenger address. Selection of the PA transmit button automatically allows the flight crew to transmit passenger announcements or monitor PA announcements from the flight deck or the cabin. PA announcements from the flight deck automatically override those from the cabin. Service interphone. Communication between the flight deck, the cabin, and the following external stations is made by using the service interphone transmit button on each pilot's audio selector panel. The avionics bay, the starboard wing at the refuel panel, the hydraulics bay, and the air conditioning bay. A crew call system consisting of audios, chimes, and lights is fitted to attract attention in a flight deck and in the cabin. The attention of the ground crew can be gained by using the ground call button. The system, which consists of 3 call buttons and 1 cancel button, is used for both incoming and outgoing calls to and from the flight deck. When any button is pressed to make a call from the flight deck, or when an incoming call is received, the appropriate caption will light, which must then be canceled using the cancel call facility. An incoming call will produce a single chime. Pressing cabin call produces a double chime in the passenger cabin. Steady green lights above the aisle, a PI on the cabin crew interphone panels. Please press the cabin call button. The flight deck must be called from the cabin by pressing PI on the cabin attendant's handset. Do it, please. In an emergency, pressing emergency call produces a double chime in the passenger cabin, flashing green lights above the aisle, and EIC flashing on the cabin crew interphone panels. Do it, please. An emergency call from the passenger cabin illuminates emergency call and sounds a single chime. Press the emergency button on cabin handset. The ground call button sounds a horn in the nose gear bay to attract the attention of the ground crew. Please press the ground call button. The ground crew may attract the attention of the flight deck by the use of the call button on the AC supply panel. A chime will sound on the flight deck and the ground call caption will illuminate until canceled. Do it, please. Two radio management panels are located on a center pedestal. Their only function is to change the frequency of any of the VHF or HF radios. The left side radio management panel is associated with the number 1 VHF and HF radios. The right side radio management panel with the number 2 VHF and HF radios. Either radio management panel may be used to change the frequency of any radio. The number 3 VHF, if fitted, has no associated radio management panel. To change the frequency, the radio is first selected by the appropriate button. If the radio to which the radio management panel is associated is selected, either VHF1, HF1, VHF2, or HF2 will be displayed in both the pre-select and active windows. The frequency is changed in the pre-select window, and the transfer switch is then pressed to transfer the frequency to the active window. If a radio is selected on the radio management panel to which it is not associated, its identifier will flash to indicate that an abnormal selection has been made. Pressing and holding the button will stop the identifier flashing. The frequency of that radio may still be changed in the normal way. Whichever radios are selected on the radio management panels, all radios are still available at the audio selector panel for transmit and receive.
When fitted, VHF3 is intended for use with ACARS. When ACARS has control of VHF3, ACARS appears in place of the frequency in both the active and pre-select windows.
Please press VHF3 on the left radio management panel. The cockpit voice recorder is a 4-channel recording device, which records the last 30 minutes of the audio from the receive and transmit channels selected on each audio selector panel and flight deck background audio detected by the area microphone. The cockpit voice recorder is tested by pressing the test button on the front panel. If the unit is serviceable, the needle will move into the green arc. Audio recorded on the cockpit voice recorder can be erased when the aircraft is on the ground and any of the upper doors are open. This is done by pressing and holding the erase button for at least 2 seconds.
The cockpit voice recorder is checked by pressing the test button. If the needle moves to the green arc, the system is serviceable. Do it, please.
Press the cabin call button and check the annunciator cabin call illuminating, the sound of the double chime and the green continuous light above the aisle. Press the emergency call button and check the annunciator emergency call illuminating, the sound of the double chime and the green flashing lights above the aisle. Passenger address is selected on the radio selector panel. A short announcement is made